Ndị be anyị ekenere m unu. Asị m ka nke e chiri ya zelu. Asị m unu ụtụtụ ọma, ehihie ọma, mgbede ọma site n'ebe isi wee na-esore anyị n'ụbọchị nke taa na Eastern News 24. Anyị si na ọ ya dịrị onye ọbụla na mma ka bụ ndị na-esore anyị n'ilu akwụkwọ n'ihe anyị na-ebe dị iche iche. N'ụbọchị nke taa anyị si na ọ ya dịrị anyị Igbo na mma na anyị yarị ka echi na echi ede agwụ agwụ. Ife anyị na-akpọ ya bụ ife wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa bụ ife anyị na-akpọ ya bụ morning tea n'ilu akwụkwọ. Ihe a bụ gbasịta maka ya bụ ihe na-eme na obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya, ana gbasịta maka nwere onwe ndị Igbo na-azọ. Dịka o si dị, o nwere ihe Biafran Prime Minister kwuru n'ilu akwụkwọ nwetara unu ka unu ga ya bụ ife, unu ga-esi ya bụ ife na tinye alụ nke unu ife unu chere gbasịta maka ihe ndị a niile o kwugasị n'ilu akwụkwọ dị iche iche n'ụbọchị nke taa na morning tea. Dịka ị na-ege ya bụ ife, dropkwara your own comment n'ilu akwụkwọ, ọ dịkwa nnukwu mkpa. All right, over to you, sir.
A very groundbreaking news which is already going viral on social media, print media, and other media platforms, both the terrorist state of Nigeria control platforms, and of course soon to be noted in international platform as well, that Biafra has recorded, officially counted, registered 50 million vote from our self-referendum. This is a history no other country has ever attained. I want you to note that no country in the history of freedom fighting has ever conducted a referendum and recorded this number of supporters, compliance, and people who are very tired of the host state, which is Nigeria today. I am very happy, very optimistic that from tomorrow, the Biafra people will speak in one voice, especially those who found themselves being used by the Nigeria state and their enablers in Biafra land. And all they do is to use them for years. There is no promotion. There is no health insurance. There is no good pay, salary. There is no good insurance system. There is no good, I would say, retirement benefit. There is nothing to be proud of or to put your hope on after you have served Nigeria and you retire. And so those of you who happen to be one of those in this generation that you see, many of us have sacrificed everything, including our Nkwobi and Ishewu, and all those things you enjoy back home. We sacrifice it to stay in exile, to fight for you and for your future, so that you can have good road, so that you can have good job, so that when you retire, you will have your retirement benefit, so that you'll be paid very well for as somebody working in Biafra government, so that you will have the reason to be a good patriotic citizen of Biafra, so that your children can grow and have hope. And so that you are going to have a society where the government will take responsibility both in the security of property and life, making sure our women are not being butchered, making sure our children are not getting killed. So, my fellow Biafrans, the road to that freedom will begin tomorrow. What do we intend to gain? What do we intend to achieve from this 30 days lockdown of Nigeria institutions in Biafra land? What we try to achieve are as follows. We are trying to delegitimize Nigeria within Biafra territory. It is part of the struggle for the international recognition in accordance with the Montevideo Convention of Statehood. We are trying to prove to the world that Nigeria has lost every legitimacy to govern the people of Biafra. We are trying to, and the Biafra people has lost confidence, and we are furthering this particular confidence that they have lost on Nigeria. We also want to use the opportunity to show to the world that only alternative is the Biafra government. which the people are loyal to. We want to also use the opportunity to prove to the world that Nigeria has failed to solve its political and economic crisis that has befallen the country, and the country has become a failed nation. We want to prove to the international community that the Biafra are well organized and they are ready to provide solutions to the problem that Nigeria could not solve, especially to the Biafra people, so that those who we are going to left behind, like the Afonjas, who claim to be educated, but the Biafra person was the first professor in their land, so that they will learn from the doggedness and the bravery of the Biafra people. I want you to understand that the killing of Biafrans during the war, which they are using as a tactics, as a tool to kill the spirit and the morale of Biafrans, we have defeated that particular tactics, which they will always remind you. Were you born during the war? Did you not see how children died? Oh, there was hunger. Do you have food? All those nonsense they have used to instill fear on our people, we have actually defeated that fear. Today, Biafra are standing gallantly facing these monsters and terrorists that call themselves state. My fellow Biafrans, we have prepared you for the past 3 years to what is to come from tomorrow. The reason we embarked on countless civil disobedience of sit at home, and the terrorist state and their enablers in Biafra land were busy struggling how to suppress the civil disobedience of sit at home, because they know where we are going. Today, what we have prepared you for, it is time to write exam. This particular lockdown is not applicable to businesses, is not applicable to traders, is not applicable to hospitals, is not applicable to schools. It is only applicable to the secretariat, police stations, and barracks. We are starting from there. If you know you work there, from tomorrow, stay in your house, because you will be used as a propaganda machine when they have killed you in order to blame Simon Ekpa. Nobody is going to listen to you. We are at war officially with Nigeria. So if you die, you become a victim of the war. The war as of today is not conventional war. And I would like to remind you, I didn't say it. The Chief of Defense Staff, Musa, have on several occasions confirmed that they are at war with Biafra. In the first he mentioned that he is fighting guerrilla warfare. Secondly, he mentioned they were fighting jungle warfare. And then thirdly, he confirmed that they are now fighting asymmetric warfare. I did not say all these things. He said it. So what I'm trying to tell you now is that no matter how they try to cover this asymmetric warfare, which was the last thing he mentioned, that particular asymmetric warfare is happening in Biafra land. Do not fall a victim of stray bullet. When the Biafra Defense Forces, the Biafra Liberation Army, the Biafra Resistance Fighters will be engaging these terrorists, our plan is to push them out of Biafra land. It does not matter how many years it is going to take. Even one of the Afonja actually explained what I'm not going to call it, but they know exactly the kind of war that we have, we are facing with the Nigeria terrorist state. They will be the one to be mentioning it. They will be the one to be saying it. All we have to do is to make sure our women and children are defended. They have come with all manner of propaganda telling you, oh, you are bringing insecurity to Biafra land. He is the one causing problem. He is the one bringing the military and all that. All those lies, does not last long. And I have asked them, when they were killing people in Nnamdi Kanu's house, I was not IPOB member. I was not even a Biafra agitator. I was not even part of the Biafra. I joined in 2019. Before I joined, thousands of Biafra has been killed. Thousands of Biafra has been adopted by the Nigeria terrorist state. Before I joined Biafra struggle, thousands of Biafra have died in detention. It was not Simon Ekpa. And what I'm trying to do today is to make sure that the atrocities committed against Biafra people before I even joined the Biafra struggle is revenged. Number one, we must revenge the killings of Biafrans in the 60s. Today, nobody has been tried in any court internationally as for war crime. For the crime of genocide, which is the highest crime that have committed after the Holocaust, nobody has been tried in Nigeria. We will take that law into our hand by defending our land today. In the 21st century, the mark of that, the wound of that killings of Biafra is very, very, very glaring on us today. And what we have to do is to teach lesson to those who have killed us and still bragging after 50 years. After 50 years, they have put a system that have disenfranchised every Biafran, that have marginalized us, that have put poverty as the only inheritance as a Biafran under Nigeria. They enacted a law that made sure that every resources that come from Biafra land is being controlled in Abuja by the Fulanis, while the natural resources like gold in the north is being controlled by them. How can you live in a country such as this, where there are two laws, where they have restructured the country, and in the north, they are practicing Sharia law, controlling their own natural resources, the gold, and the gold that they found in Zamfara belong to Zamfara state, while natural resources in Biafra land belong to the federal government. How do you reconcile that?
Tupu anyị aga n'iru, biko metụ aka na share button, share ya bụ ife na anụ, metụ aka na subscription and turn on notification. Ọ dị nnukwu mkpa tupu anyị aga n'iru gosiri ihe ndị ọzọ fọnụ.
That the Biafra, of course, almost the same thing that Biafra are following today. In this region, in this country, their liberation witness, at least, they took over some portion of their territory and Morocco controlled the rest. And those areas where they are controlling, where they are very strong, is called a free zone. So people should understand that if there is no event, there is no history. You have to create the solution that suits your problem. And what we are doing today is the combination of many process, of many procedure, of many pathway to freedom. Because Nigeria is a complex state, especially with vested interests of the world powers. So what we are trying to do is to profile a solution to the, imagining an upsurge of terrorists from Africa. We imagining as a nation will prevent this upsurge of terrorists. And the emergence of Biafra as independent state will also restore peace and a lasting peace in the Sahel region. This is a fact. With the way this whole thing is going today, there is a need for Biafra to emerge so that the West and those who believe in civilization will have real alliance in Africa. As it stands today, there is no real alliance in Africa. And what I do not believe is when they say the Western influence. There is nothing like that in our own ideology. What we have is civilization influence. And we are embracing civilization, and civilization we will embrace. We continue to follow the path of civilization because that's exactly the pathway to a better society. Nigeria today has opened what they call Center for Eradication of Innovation. Innovation is part of civilization, and they're eradicating it. So we have different ideology, different belief, everything is different, everything is pulled apart. So the only way we can develop ourselves, attain our potentials, is to govern ourselves in the name of self-determination. So this is the reason we are saying that the world must listen to us now. We have solution, especially to all the problems that are emanating from the West Africa, Sahel region, and of course the issue of the upsurge of terrorists. The emergence of Biafra will first of all cut all the interest that the terrorists have, which made them to start flowing into Nigeria. And you know what that interest is? They are looking for safe haven where they can tap on the natural resources, make money, sponsor attack in Europe, sponsor attack in America, and the emergence of Biafra will stop that. Thank you very much. There are many things to say, but I know that a lot of people are here who want to say something. Thank you very much. This is the reason. Freedom or die is our logo and our slogan going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for all this brief, Prime Minister Simon. And the next question will be Mr. President, Mr. G. Eritrea is an independent nation. So what is your government in exile struggle all about? And if you are not fighting for independence like the Biafran people, what is missing from the Eritrean people? Mr. President, are you are on mute?
Yes, I am. I said before I proceed with the question, I want to commend the Prime Minister for well articulated and also detailed. I think this is more history we have than ever. A lot of people may not be familiar with the Biafran issue. They might think it's a dead issue, but as you can see, it is well alive and moving. We also have a good friend in them. There's a lot of familiarities that we carry in common, and I think we are together in this fight. Coming back to your question, Mr. KHA, as you might know, yes, Eritrea is independent since 1991. And unfortunately, Eritrea has had high aspirations to govern itself as an inclusive, peaceful, and democratic administration is what we expected. In that particular 1991, not only Eritrea, Ukraine became independent the same year. They decided to go the democratic way. Unfortunately, we went to a dictatorship. And this authoritarian regime we have today, it hijacked the dreams and aspirations. And the Eritrean people have found themselves in a nation without law. We don't have constitution or even any necessary institution. At this juncture, for the last 33 years, no election, no constitution. Where in the world do we hear, where in the world that it exists except in this small tiny Eritrea. You know, we earned our independence through a long bloody struggle, and we paid dearly many sacrifices. But all this, Eritrean people, dignity, the freedom, it has been betrayed. The struggle hijacked by the oppressive regime only to serve the interest of the few. The economy depleted, and the people's social fabric fragmented. So in order to change this is why from that independence, we have people that are not free inside Eritrea. People that live in fear. People that are jailed without any good reason. In this juncture in our history, we have had over 100 factories in our nation, so long before any African nations, but he kind of closed them all. So people cannot function, people cannot work. The single university we have, it has been shut down. We have some colleges who don't have universities, but what we have is 260 underground jails, prisons. People are fearful. They're all running away from home. Our youth, which they are conscripted in the nation for lifetime. This is what some European nations categorize as slavery. This minority level, they work for nothing. They could not go to school, could not work, could not make family. Everybody, as any juncture, I think they are heading to exodus. This is what created in our life before. Eritreans are a very strong people. They love their nation. They love their people. They love their culture. However, at this right moment, every child were used to be saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yes, he will say, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a mathematician. But today, I'm dismayed to hear any young kid, if has been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? He will simply and clearly would tell you, he was run away. He was. So we cannot have this sort of nation building together. And I think we are in a really failed nation as it is. The nation is going the wrong way. The gentleman goes towards the Russians, Chinese at this moment. And we are, as a transitional government in exile, yes, we are pro-West. Yes, we are pro-democracy. Yes, we are pro-justice and for the rule of law. So all of our efforts, even though we have independence, we never had the freedom for the people. Therefore, this is our fight for our people, and we tend to get it to the highest level. And I think in this juncture, it is about time. The time is due for this despotic government. Maybe it's time to leave the nation. Whatever happened did happen. We don't want it to get any worse than it is. So we can restore democracy. We can restore justice. We can let out all those prisoners, political prisoners, journalists, and many women and men that are in jail for nothing. There is a fear, even if relatives, loved ones are in jail. It became a time you cannot ask about them. If you go to ask relatives, yes, you better be thinking twice. And so the people are living in the dark. No wonder they called us the North Korea of Africa. Plus, even worse, you know what North Korea does, but ours, we were given the name the North Korea of Africa, and that would explain a lot. So without saying much, yes, we are not fighting for independence, but yes, we are fighting for our freedom, a freedom at home. And this is what we are fighting as a transitional Eritrean government in exile. Thank you very much. Yeah,
Mr. Diabo, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've been on mute. Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. G. Mr. Elias, in a short period of the modern strategies involvement with these two governments in exile, you believe have been achieved?
We've achieved enormous success for both the Biafran government and the Eritrean transitional government within just a 2-month period. In the case of Biafra, to be honest with you, when we initially established the relationship with the Prime Minister, there had been, I would say, a minimal or negligible knowledge of Biafra in the United States. Even U.S. officials who dealt with Nigeria were really not aware of the Biafran issue. And we've arranged for the Prime Minister, as well as other members of the government, to meet directly with congressional officials, members of Congress, senior advisors, senior staffers, people outside of the government who are very influential, the think tanks. And within a short period of time, Washington, D.C. has gone from not talking about Biafra to now, as I mentioned previously, being written about in one of the most prestigious think tanks in Washington, D.C., the American Enterprise Institute. So I think it's been an enormous success, and this is just the beginning. And what we've really been focused on is developing the awareness, because once you get the awareness, then you get the support. And this is very important for your viewers who are both the Eritrean viewers, our Biafran friends, to understand, is diplomacy is a two-way street, right? One of the things that I've noticed in some of my conversations with of our diaspora supporters is that some of them have the assumption that the U.S. government should somehow be able to read the minds of Biafra, read the minds of the Eritrean opposition, to that without educating them, somehow they'll know what to do. And if the U.S. government doesn't help, it means that somehow they're to blame. That's completely absurd. Diplomacy is a two-way street. If whether it's the Eritrean justice movement, the Biafran justice movement, if you want the U.S. to do something or the international community to do something, you have to educate them, give them the facts, give them the figures. That's what the lobbyist does. Tell them what it is you want from them, and then most likely they'll do it. Rather than not educating them, somehow expecting that they know what you want, and then blaming them when something doesn't happen. I mean, that's completely illogical. So, that's why lobbying is important. And in addition to our lobbying, programs such as these are so critical because we are educating the population as to why lobbying is important, why educating is important, why diplomacy is important, and how that interplays. Now, so we've basically gotten Biafra on the map within a short period of time, and we're going to have a huge explosion these.
Daalụ nne na ụmụ ife ka unu si wee na-esoro anyị n'idu akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24 n'ụbọchị nketa anyị na-akpọ ya morning tea. Unu anụgonu ya bụ ife mgbakọrịta ụka ya bụ ife Maazị Simon Ekpa bụ Biafran Prime Minister or Biafran Public Government in exile. Dịka o si dị n'afọ ka o si ada n'iru akwụkwọ. Gịnị ka ị nwere ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile kwugasị n'iru akwụkwọ dị iche iche dropụla ya on the comment section below. Ọzọ dịkwa ka ibe ya bụ na nke a bụ ụbọchị izizi gị na-esoyere anyị n'iru akwụkwọ, onye na-afụ ya bụ ihe onyonyo anyị kaba alụ ka ị like ya and turn on notification, share kwa ka o wetakwa ndị ọzọ ụmụnne anyị dị n'ebe dị iche iche aka. Daalụ nne na Igbo ọma na-ege ntị. Oge na-adịrị anya onye ndu ya apụta na n'ụlọ mkpọrọ. Ka emesịanụ ụmụnne m.